Hey all, it's Gthrdsa, and I know it's kind of late, and uh, I just turned in a little review of the movie Get Hard on that starring Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. And I don't know. It's basically the movie's plot line is basically Will Ferrell is a white, I'm not white, well, yeah, white, but white Wall Street badass who's making all this money. He's going to marry the perfect wife with the perfect life, etc. And then he gets arrested for for fraud. And what's funny about this is the common story. And in the movie, they'd get offered him a plea deal, saying, "Just take the 1 year, and you'll be out in a year, and you'll be able to do all this." Um, what was interesting about the film is that plea deal is very often because here's the thing: when these corrupt not White House, Wall Street hedge fund managers or other managers do these things and they make a deal, part of that deal is locating the money. And if they can prove the money, then the sentence is dramatically reduced. Now, some may say, why is that? It's fairly simple. Is that because they're not hiding the money. If they can produce majority of the money on what they did, then it's kind of they can go back to the other people and pay their mortgages or their fortunes back to them and apologize. He said, "No, I didn't do this. This is fraud, and I want to go ahead and fight this in court. I did not do this. These were falsified." And he gets his ass handed to him in court, and he has to serve 10 years in San Quentin. Now, the thing about this movie is they would never send someone like this to San Quentin because here's the problem with the movie. That is that with a professional white collar hedge fund or doctor, they don't send them to places such as San Quentin because the United States, when it prosecutes someone, has to also be responsible for their safety. Now, we all know in prison that's not 100%. We all know that. But sending someone like a professional into an area like San Quentin, they'll probably be killed or raped in 24 hours or less. It's quick. Like that. And that's the truth. So that's why these, like when, if you want to examine Martha Stewart when she was caught, and there was no doubt what they did with Martha Stewart is they were making her an example. Very clearly, there were other people just as guilty as she was, but they were shooting for Martha Stewart to make her the example. But they sent her to a country club prison because if they sent her to a real prison, she'd get eaten alive and killed within weeks or days. And that's the truth. So this whole film sounds like is 30 days to prepare your affairs in order. Now, in this film, you have a guy, Kevin Hart, who washes Will Ferrell's car, and he keeps trying to encourage him and to learn by him. Now Will Ferrell says, I gotta come to you because I need to know how to get hard for prison. And then he's like, "Oh, you've been to prison." He's like, "Why? Because I'm black?" And that's the whole thing about this movie. The whole movie is basically a bastion of racial jokes. Just it's kind of, I don't know. It's like they were trying to be South Park, and it wasn't even funny. And that's the funny thing. I mean, at least South Park, with all their crude humor, sometimes it's actually really funny. On that, even Family Guy. But at other times, it's crude. And it's not, but so that they do that on purpose. The reason why those shows survived is because they made fun of everyone. Nobody was safe. Absolutely nobody was safe. And that's the only legal way they could do it, so they couldn't show any bias towards one group or another. Um, but the constant message is Will Ferrell, when you get to prison, you're going to be bang, 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 butt ramming, basically. And then someone else is going to tag in someone else, and they're going to butt ram you too. So you're going to be killed in there, like, no time at all. And, which probably is the truth into it. But here's the thing. And so during the whole thing, while they're having discussions, they go to some, I guess, coffee shop, which I don't know what his name is, but they're like, this coffee shop that we're at is the mecca of, like, where gay men meet in LA. And, you know, here's the thing. The whole film was all about not wanting to be like this, racial jokes, and then you get into street gangs. Well, Will Ferrell's going to join a street gang because he needs protection behind bars when he goes. And get this. This is the most ignorant part of this whole movie. Is during the sequence, Will Ferrell introduced the gang members to the concepts of hedge funds, IRA, Roth, all these things, okay? And he's telling them at an investment of around $30,000, or if we take this much kilos of cocaine, we'll invest in something like this, and in 3 years you'll make $1.2 million. Here's a problem with that. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. It's not that easy. But who's the film written for? People that don't know that. So what happens is then people are going to be watching this film, seeing the sequence, believing it's that easy, and it really isn't. There's a reason why the 1% is called the 1%. It's because it's a mixture of old money, finding the right product and a service and selling it, or just the sheer acquirement of money. But the problem is, if everyone started making millions of dollars, okay, the dollar would be worthless as pesos because everyone had it. What creates... And, you know, in a way, this is interesting part, and this is what everyone should think about it. If you want to talk about the basics of supply and demand with the American dollar, is that if one group holds 90% of the money, and 90% of the group wants that money, then their money value goes up. But if you take that money and go, there's no more demand, and therefore, what will happen is that you'll have entities or companies that will come along that will want to acquire more money, and then they'll raise their prices to acquire more of the money. So let's say if you flatten everything, it's just going to go back up like this over 2 years or less. And that's the ignorance of this film. Yeah, they think it's funny. Oh yeah, I'm going to have a 40 and read the Wall Street Journal at the very end. What? And it's just, there's just a lot of unrealistic things. I know it's a comedy. I know I shouldn't take things seriously. But I've seen serious comedies that were just absolutely hilarious. And I've seen other comedies that I was just dying on that. Here's an example. Will Ferrell, with Talladega Nights. Talladega Nights, not everyone liked it. Okay, but it had some of the most hilarious sequences and WTF moments in films in a long time. And this film, it was almost, you could see the joke coming. You could almost see it happening. Here's another thing. Like they said, oh, well, this Wall Street guy all of a sudden, hung out with a bunch of gang members in Crenshaw called the Crenshaw Knights, and then all of a sudden is interested in their women. Okay? Where did you get this idea from? Oh, wait a minute. Malibu's Most Wanted? Bulworth? Originality, people here. It's the same story. It's the same story, and it's the same line of crap they feed people saying, oh, it's so simple. Oh, it's so simple. And these people do care about you, and they're honest people at Wall Street. In a way, it is a whitewashing job for to show that there are some good people in Wall Street. And the truth is, there are good people in Wall Street. But the problem is that some of the good people in Wall Street are still not even privy to what's going on at the top. They just get the orders and they follow the orders. And they figure that those people at the top will care enough about the laws and that, because it's not the people who process paperwork are the ones that are going to jail. But it is those people that are blowing the whistle when they start seeing 1 and 1 and it's not adding up. I mean, I went on a Sunday to watch this film, and thankfully they charged me matinee price in the afternoon, and that was really nice of them. But it's not even worth going to the theater. I mean, some of it's funny, and most of it is like predictable. I don't know. And then there's just some scenes that were just completely unnecessary. But it is Saturday Night Live, Will Ferrell. But I mean, Will Ferrell's funny. But you see, the thing is, if I look at Will Ferrell's Saturday Night Live skits, if you look at one of his most, I think, his famous two, Cowbell, he didn't really say anything. He just goes bunk, bunk, bunk like that. The other one was playing Alex Trebek. And he was hilarious. So I don't know. In this film, I felt they were trying way too much, trying to use the racial thing, sexual innuendos, butt ramming in prison, and essentially lie to people to how simple this financial market really is, because it's not that simple. If it was, then everyone would be doing it. But if everybody was doing it, the dollar would be worth nothing. The only reason why the tender dollar's worth anything on that is specifically there are a lot of people with a lot of it and a lot of people who don't have it. And the people that want to get it, they charge the prices. Thus luxury goods. So that's the real truth. And once people understand that, I mean, if you really want to get technical about it, it was when they pulled us off the silver standard, on that every dollar note was backed up by, I think, silver. Now it's not. It's just paper. It's tender, as it's called. But it's just, I think it's just a sad misrepresentation. It is definitely politically agenda. It's liberal agenda, trying to show this, trying to tell people the Wall Street's not as bad. We can all laugh about this, ha ha ha, and we'll get back to things as normal. And that's the whole problem with the whole film. There's so many political motivations and idealisms behind it. It wasn't even that great film. It wasn't even worth watching. So anyway, watch if you like. I suggest buy it and wait for Amazon Prime. You can get it for free, because it's not worth it, in my opinion. Anyway, this is Gthrdsa. I'll talk to y'all later.